Today in the shop we have a 1989 Oldsmobile Custom Cruiser. And this car has kind of a unique story behind it. The client brought it to us. His father actually purchased this car brand new from his next door neighbor who was the dealer that sold it to him. And the family drove it for a number of years and then eventually passed it down to his son who brought it to us. This client of ours now daily drives this vehicle. He's 76 years old and the car is in great mechanical condition. Is actually restored, is repainted about a year ago. And the paint job, it looks all right. It needs some help. That's why he brought it to us. But he's gonna continue daily driving this vehicle and he wants to make it shiny, he wants to protect it, he wants to make sure it's gonna last another 10 years. So what we're gonna do with this vehicle is we're gonna polish it up, we're gonna wash it, of course. We'll show you the befores. It's pretty dirty. It's got some scratches, it's got some swirl marks, it's got some paint defects from the body shop that painted it that we're gonna go ahead and make this look as best as we can. But we're gonna polish this thing out, we're gonna make it shiny, and we're gonna put a coating on it. So let's get started. The first stop for this custom cruiser is the prep bay, where it gets a bath and any above surface contaminants like tar, sap, and industrial fallout removed. All right, the guys just finished up prepping the Oldsmobile, and we're gonna go over the paint, just come up with a game plan of what we're gonna do, how we're gonna tackle this thing. First thing that I noticed, I mean, there's lots of scratches, swirls, especially on the top. I see some wet sanding marks, but on the top surfaces, we have some solvent pop or dust nibs or some kind of texture from the paint. You can definitely tell it's been repainted, especially on the top surfaces. The sides look great. There doesn't seem to be any really kind of dimples or texture to the sides of the vehicle. But when you look at the top, you can definitely see it, especially over here where the racking system is. You can see all the orange peel and the weird texture. That's gonna affect it from shining properly or looking, giving that depth to it. So we wanna tackle that stuff. You can see right here, there's some wet sanding spots there. A lot of staining, bird stains on the top here that have been sitting. So we're gonna talk to the customer about making sure if he does get any future bird droppings or stains. I know he parks it outside most of the time, so proper maintenance is gonna be key after we do the coating. And you can see all the way up here, just, it wasn't finished properly after it was painted because you can still see wet sanding marks and the cloudiness to it. So those are all the paint defects that we're gonna fix. All this trim, this bright work, a lot of it is kind of scratched up, a little oxidized. We're gonna go by hand and polish that all up just a little bit. We're not gonna remove any of those scratches, but you can see the oxidation here that we'll remove on the sides. Just a little bit of metal polish there, we'll bring that back to life. Wheels here, we'll probably get inside here and try to clean these hubs a little better. On the top, you can see all these little dimples. Solvent pop, you can see it's really faded. You can see all that texture and everything, which when you look at the sides, like you don't see any texture there. So the top and the hood are the worst parts of it. So let's get the paint gauge. Let's see how thick, how much we're working with up here. I want to take off this roofing rack. It looks pretty simple. It's 2 screws on each of these footings and then 1 in the back, and that should come off pretty easily. Let's do some wet sanding on the roof and the top here. And then the rest of it's just compound and polish. After the roof rack is removed, you can really see all the texture left behind after this vehicle was painted. With as much texture this vehicle has, I'm assuming that we have plenty of material to work with, but we're gonna use the paint gauge just to make sure before we start sanding the roof and the hood flat. I start sanding with 2000 grit sandpaper, and I'm gonna start just by doing half the hood here so I can see the difference from where we started. After a layer of clear coat is removed, we have to polish it back up and bring back all that gloss and shine. And I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing here. The results are absolutely fantastic. So we're gonna continue on and finish the rest of the hood and the roof.
Ryan, you're making a mess.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? It is really messy, actually.
Wet sanding is a very labor-intensive process. We spent a total of about 15 hours on just the hood and the roof here. You can see how easily the hours can pile up if you're working on a full car wet sanding job. Once we get to a spot where we're happy, the roof rack goes back on and we continue polishing out the rest of the vehicle. It's not show car quality by any means, but the difference from when it came in to where we're at now is very dramatic. After the final polish and some metal work, the car is ready to receive a ceramic coating. The car gets some final touches and a final wipe down with a panel wipe to remove any polish and oils, so we'll see the maximum durability of the product. We don't get to work on a lot of these older vehicles, so it was kind of a nice change of pace in the shop to be able to work on this one. Let us know what you think in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more of our content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.